Windows 10 has been out for a week now, and it is well worth the upgrade. About a week ago, I upgraded to Windows 10, and if you remember, those of you running Windows 7 or Windows 8.1 are eligible for a free upgrade to Windows 10. So last week I took advantage of that, and I've been playing around with it, poking around with the different features and the new interface and everything. And so far, I like what I see. It's it's as if they took the best of Windows 7 and Windows 8 and they put them together, leaving all the bad stuff behind. And so far, I like it a lot. So today I'd like to talk about Windows 10 and some of the features that I like the best, and kind of give you just my first impressions, my initial thoughts, and we'll go from there. So the very first thing that I noticed when I started up into my Windows 10 interface here is that the start menu has made a return. Now, for those of you who ran Windows 8 when it first came out, you remember that the start menu was not there. Rather, you had this Windows that had kind of an identity crisis between the desktop and the mobile. And so you had your Metro interface. And depending on what application or program you were using, it would switch between those two interfaces. And it felt clumsy, it felt weird, and it was annoying. And then when Windows 8.1 rolled around, you had your start button back, but it didn't open up a start menu. Rather, you had the Metro interface again. And it was really annoying, having so many different applications opening up in different things. The desktop itself was considered an application, and it just felt disconjointed and messy. Well, now with Windows 10, we have our start menu back, and it's quite nice. Now, the first thing that you will notice upon opening the start menu is that you have these live tiles from your Metro interface. They have carried over, and they're presented within the start menu. It's a much cleaner presentation. When you open up an application, for example, your photos, they'll open up, and as you can see, we didn't jump into a Metro interface. Rather, it just opened up right here on the desktop, which is nice. And all of the apps will now do that. Whether it's your photos, whether you open up the weather, they'll all open up on the desktop. There is no more switching in between the two, which is great because personally, I hated with a passion the Metro interface. So I'm glad for this, and I like it. It's a lot cleaner. In regards to these Windows Live tiles, if you don't like them, you can right click and unpin from start, and that will take them away from this menu. So you don't have to have the live tiles if you don't want them, and you're not limited to this size for your start menu. If you want, you can come along and you can drag it as long as you want. If you want to make it a little shorter, you can do that too. So you really have a lot more control over the customization of your start menu. And again, the biggest factor is you don't have to jump into that Metro interface. So I like that a lot. And then on the left, you have your most used applications. And then, of course, your File Explorer, settings, and your power. And then it will show you all the apps installed on your PC. So, and again, you can see these open up within the desktop, no more switching. Another cool thing is when you have more than one window like this open, of course you can do the standard side-by-side view, having two applications open, but you can also take an application and drag it into a corner and just do a quarter rather than a full side-by-side. So in theory, you can have four open side-by-side with quarters. That's pretty cool. It's a new feature for 10, and I have found some uses for it, although I still largely prefer the full side-by-side. But there are times when this comes in handy, and it is a much welcome feature. So I like that a lot. I feel Microsoft did quite well with this presentation with the start menu. It's it's a lot less painful, and I find it a lot cleaner in my opinion, and a lot less frustrating. So if the Metro interface was a reason keeping you from Windows 8, then go ahead and jump on over to 10 because things are a lot better over here. So the next thing that I noticed right away is this search menu down here on the bottom within your taskbar. And if you click on it, it will bring up Cortana, which is your personal assistant, much like Siri. Um, in my opinion, it's as if they took Siri and they took the Google Now, and if they merged those together. Um, she's quite powerful, and although she's still um, fairly new on the desktop platform, she's been on the Windows Phone platform for quite a while, but this is her first appearance on the desktop platform. And although she's still fairly new here, we're seeing improvements come out just about every week, and I imagine as time goes on, she'll get a lot more powerful. Now, it's been stated by Microsoft that this is the last Windows version that they're coming out, this Windows 10. So from the future here on out, it's just going to be Windows as a service. So rather than coming out with a new version of Windows every few years, they're just going to keep updating and patching this version. And that's going to solve a lot of problems with program compatibility. It's going to solve problems with people not being up to date with their operating system. And it's going to give developers more time and more flexibility in focusing applications rather than updating every few years. So I imagine as time goes on, we're going to see a vast improvement with Cortana. And some of the things that you can do with her, well, obviously, first of all, you can talk to her. If you want, you can, of course, type in what it is you're trying to search for or trying to do. But it's a lot more fun, and it's a lot faster if you can just talk to her. And most computers nowadays come with microphones built in. Those work just fine. If not, you can always head on over to your local Walmart. A headset like this, they're fairly cheap, about $15–20 for a cheap one, and it'll work just fine if you don't have a microphone built in. So you can talk to her, you can have her learn your voice, and then all you have to do is say, "Hey Cortana, tell me a joke." And there you go. So it's just it's a much more pleasant experience talking to her. Talk to her like you were talking to a normal person, have a regular conversation. She can set reminders for you. She can set location-based reminders. She can set reminders for when you talk to certain people, which is a cool feature, although that works a lot better within the phone. She can send emails. She can find you restaurants. She can, of course, tell you jokes. She can tell you stories. She'll even sing you songs. So just play around with her, ask her whatever comes to mind, and she's a lot of fun. She's also heavily integrated with Microsoft's new browser. They're doing away with Internet Explorer, and with Windows 10 comes Microsoft Edge. Now, within this last week of using Microsoft Edge, I have noticed that it feels a lot faster than Internet Explorer. Back in the day with Windows 7 and Windows 8 for me, Internet Explorer was really just good for downloading other browsers. As you can see down here, I'm a Chrome fan. I've been stuck with Chrome for a while. And I also dabble in Firefox when I'm in my Linux distributions. But for the most part, I stick with Chrome, simply because I have add-ons and extensions that I just don't want to do without. But playing with Edge, I've been using it a lot more this week than I have Chrome, simply because it's a lot faster and because it has Cortana integration with it. So if you just go to Edge, not Chrome, but to Edge, and say you look up applesauce, and you see that there is a recipe here for applesauce which looks quite tasty actually, and you find a word that you're not quite sure what it means. Say for example, delicious. Say you don't know what delicious means. Well, you can highlight it, right click, and click on Ask Cortana, and then she will bring you up a result. It could be a dictionary definition, it could be an image, it could be a Bing search result. There's quite a few different options it could be, depending on what you're highlighting. So if you, for you students out there, or for you people who are doing research or whatever, whenever you come across a word and you don't know what it is, you don't have to open up a new tab and type in the word. You can just highlight it and ask Cortana, which is a cool feature. And it does not work in Chrome or Firefox. It only works in Edge. And so I like that a lot. I've been using Edge this week. I haven't really dabbled in Chrome much. That may change in a month when I start missing my extensions a bit more. Although there is a team working on porting extensions and add-ons from Chrome to Edge. So we'll see how that goes. With Microsoft Edge, you also have the ability to make notes on a web page. You have highlighters, you have erasers, you can do annotations where you just type something. I can spell. And then you can save it or share it through OneNote. So, and like I said, you can also highlight if you come over here. And you can also have a pen and just do your own markings. So that's pretty cool. Again, these only work in Edge so far. They kind of remind me of Evernote. Evernote has a web clipper. I don't use Evernote as much as I used to. I'm more into Google Drive now. But Evernote had a web clipper that allowed you to do similar things like this. And that also will work in Chrome and Firefox. So Microsoft is kind of stepping forward and integrating this directly into their browser. And I'm curious to see if Chrome and Firefox and some of the other major contenders follow suit. So it should be interesting to see if that happens or not. So this is Edge. It's sleek, it's fast. Who knows if it will continue to stay like that, if it might become a bit more bloated as time goes on. It's up in the air, don't know yet. But so far I'm liking it, and if I had my extensions and add-ons, I would probably use this more than I use Chrome, honestly. But again, this is just my first week into it, so that's all subject to change when a month goes on the road. But so far, I like it a lot. Microsoft has vastly improved. It is 10 times better than Internet Explorer, and it's a good offering. I like it. I like the advancements that they've made with it. So, especially, I really like the Cortana integration. So, that's Cortana. And then this icon next to it is your task view. So if you have programs open, you can click on the task view and that will show you all of your open programs. And down here you have where it says new desktop. You can open up a new virtual desktop and have multiple desktops open. Then you can come on over to the task view and you can drag a program to your new desktop. Now, virtual desktops is not something new. In fact, if you've seen some of my Linux videos, you might recognize them. They've been in Linux for quite a while now, especially in Ubuntu and GNOME, in Linux Mint, Fedora. Just about every distribution has virtual desktops in some form. So it's definitely not something new. But it is nice to see that Microsoft is finally starting to catch up. I like the concept of how they have it tied in with the task view. However, there's supposedly a shortcut that will enable you to switch between the two virtual desktops. I'm having a hard time with that one because it's not an easy shortcut. See, if you're in Ubuntu or if you're in GNOME, your super key your Alt super key and then the arrow keys will shift between your virtual desktops unless you've changed the key binding for some reason. So I like that a lot. I'm having a hard time with the key shortcut for the one in Windows, but hopefully that will either become something that I just remember, or maybe they'll change it to something a bit easier, or maybe they'll make it so that we can change it ourselves. So, but it's nice to see that they're catching up with the virtual desktops. I can see a lot of good features for that, a lot of uses for such a thing, and I really enjoy them in Ubuntu. I make use of them every time I'm in that OS, and I'm glad to see that it's now here for everybody else in Windows. So that's your task view, and then of course you have your just your regular taskbar that's been the same since Windows 8, since Windows 7, since Vista, and so on. You have your internet browsers, you have a file explorer, and then open applications. And then if you keep on to the right, you have, of course, this icon that shows all of your applications running that you've opened in the background. Of course, I have my antivirus. You have your battery, which if you're not plugged in on if you're on a laptop and not plugged in, you have the option to turn on battery saver, which will dim the screen. I'm not really sure yet what else it does besides that. It kind of goes into sort of like a balanced power saving mode, and it's supposed to help extend your battery a bit. Then of course you have your wireless and your airplane mode. You can choose which network you're on. You have your sound, and then this icon right here next to sound is new. This is your action center, and it's here that all of your new notifications will go. So whenever a notification banner will pop up, and say you don't click on it in time, and you're wondering like, what was that? Where did it go? Well, now you just need to click here, and you can find all of your notifications in the Action Center, which is quite nice. And then of course you have some options down here. You have your tablet mode, which makes everything kind of as if you're on a tablet. Changes your icons down here, and so on. And it gives you soft keys, and it changes your start menu. So you have that if you want it. I find some uses for it, although typically I stick in the desktop mode simply because I like the extra buttons to push and stuff. But if you're on like a Windows Surface or something and you're unplugging the keyboard, that's a good mode to be in. So you have that. Of course, you have connecting for like smart TVs. If you are using a virtual private network to encrypt your data, you have that. You have quiet hours, which will turn off all notifications as long as this is enabled. So if you're working on a research paper or whatever, and you just don't want to be disturbed by the system whatsoever, turn on quiet hours, and that will silence everything until you turn it off. Of course, like your phone, you have location sensing and Bluetooth, and then OneNote, which is a note-taking application for Microsoft. And then you have your settings for your system, devices and everything, accounts, any updates, time, everything. Those are all there. You have your screen brightness, and again, airplane mode. And then of course your on-screen keyboard, which carried over from Windows 8, and your calendar. So as you can see, the majority of it is the same. The icons look a little different. We have two new things here, but everything else is the same. So if you can navigate Windows 8, if you can navigate 7, you should do just fine in 10. So those are some of the newer features, some of the same features with a new look. And that's pretty much all that's really new. Again, if you've used 7 or 8, it's really not that different. So that's pretty much my first impression. I like it a lot. If you're using Windows 7, as much as I loved Windows 7, I would say you should upgrade. And if you're using Windows 8, then you definitely should upgrade, because in my opinion, Windows 8 sucked. So this is a huge improvement. The upgrade process is simple. I've already upgraded all of my systems, but I'm going to try to see if I can virtualize a Windows 10 ISO and kind of walk you through the upgrade process for those of you who might have questions. But if you want to upgrade, just make sure that you've reserved your copy. It's free if you do it within the first year. You have to be running Windows 7 or Windows 8.1 to qualify for the free upgrade. So make sure you have that and have all the updates patched and everything. So that's pretty much it. It's pretty sweet, honestly. It's like they took the best of both worlds. And if you're able to, then I definitely recommend upgrading. And I'm pretty sure you'll be glad that you did. So thank you for watching, and stay tuned for more videos pertaining to Windows 10. And if you have any issues upgrading, or if you have any questions or comments, please do so below, and I will try my best to get back with you. And if something stood out with Windows 10 that you really enjoyed, maybe a feature that I missed, then please shout out below and let us know what you found. So thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe.